introduce Elizabeth McAnally, who's actually one of the founders of this conference. She really helped Rand, who we'll hear from later, to put on the very first Cosmology of Love back in 2007. And she is now moving along in her progress, and is now a PhD candidate in PCC and doing work around the subject that she's about to talk about. So, Elizabeth.
Yeah. Hey, I am so happy to be here with you guys, and thank you so much, Rand, for starting this conference, and Darren for carrying it on, and yeah. So today, I would like to talk about water. In case you didn't know, I'm a huge fan of this element. And I want to talk about water in terms of intimate immensities. Okay? So I first heard this phrase, intimate immensities, when I read Mary Evelyn Tucker's book, Worldly Wonder. And she is referring to Gaston Bachelard, a French philosopher. And so in Worldly Wonder, Mary Evelyn, she says, religions help us see that we are dwelling in the midst of intimate immensities. And religions help us to situate ourselves as human between the hearth and the cosmos, between the intimate and the immense. Okay? And so I wanted to learn more about this awesome phrase, intimate immensities. So I started reading some more of Bachelard. I had read Water and Dreams, which is an awesome book, but this phrase, intimate immensities, comes from the Poetics of Space. And there's a whole chapter in it called Intimate Immensities. And he begins this chapter by saying that he looks at daydream, like reverie, daydream, imagination. These are huge concepts for Bachelard. And he says, daydream is a philosophical category. No, immensity is a philosophical category of the daydream. Okay? So whenever we think about daydreaming, we can go completely elsewhere all of a sudden, like in an instant. Like if you just allow yourself to zone out and sit and be still, you can embody the whole cosmos in that moment. Like you can go anywhere and everywhere. And so he basically says that daydream is the original contemplation, which I think is excellent, that kind of stillness and wonder. And so I think that water is a wonderful way to think about immensity, and especially intimate immensities. Okay? Because water is an elemental link that connects the tiniest with the vast. Okay? And if you think about like all the water in our bodies, all the water flowing close by us, all around the world, in the cosmos even, there's huge oceans in the cosmos. Like, so thinking about water, we can learn about the intimate and the immense. And one other thing about Bachelard, whenever he's talking about intimate immensities, he's talking about anthropocosmic ties. Okay, so the anthropos, the human, and the cosmos, the world, any dimension of world, whether it be the world of your home or the great universe. So this elemental tie, this anthropocosmic tie, we can see this in all the elements, and I'm looking particularly at water right now. And we can see water is flowing through all things, from the smallest to the vast, throughout the whole hydrosphere. And the human can connect to the cosmos through water. Okay? And so I'd like to do this little meditation with you guys. If you like, you can just use your imagination, daydream. You could also do some sitting qigong with me as I'm standing, showing you. So whatever your comfort level is. Okay, so holding a lake, okay? And so your arms are the lake bed, okay? Effortless, just be completely, shoulders relaxed, yeah. Elbows low, okay? And feel this water that you're holding, okay? The water is itself because of its relation to the earth around it. It's completely empty of form. All water is completely interconnected with everything. And so through reflection, we're holding this lake, and we can look in and we can see our human image in this lake. Okay? So we can learn about ourselves as human by looking at this water, the still water. But then we can also see that by holding this lake, we can see all the different animals coming to drink. We can see the fish swimming around. We can see the reflection of the sun, or when the sun goes down, we can see the stars. We can see the whole cosmos right here in this one still body of water. Isn't that amazing? And so relax, yeah, okay? And so I wanted to thank Erin Redding for helping me to come to this idea, and also Kim Carfor for helping me to come to this idea, this image. And this idea of reflection is something that's pretty well written about. And this whole image of how the water, the still water, reflects the whole cosmos. We can see this with Thoreau, who writes that a lake is the landscape's most beautiful and expressive feature. It is the eye of the earth. And by looking into this eye of the earth, we can know the depths of our human self. Isn't that awesome? Yeah. And another thing that's very similar to this is Dogen, the founder of the Soto Zen school of Buddhism, who says that in the tiniest dewdrop, you can see the moon reflected. Okay? In the teeny tiny, you can see the whole. This is very similar also to the idea of the jewel net of Indra, I think, where on this vast net, at every single node there's a jewel, and each jewel reflects every other jewel and is reflected by every other jewel. So we have this vast, intimate interconnectedness. And so if you think about water, think about a spider web right after the rain, or first thing in the morning with the dew, and all the little dewdrops reflecting everything else. It's just a beautiful thing, water is. And so what I think is that by seeing water as a teacher, we can learn a whole lot. We can learn a lot about ourselves and about the world. You know, of course, water teaches us how to flow, but how to be still. And it teaches us about life and about death. You know, it teaches us about the vast interconnectedness of all things, the vast impermanence of all things. Everything's constantly changing. Water teaches us metamorphosis. You know, it's always moving from one state to another, to another, to another. And so what I think is that if we learn to care for any one thing in the universe, then we can learn how to care for everything in the universe. Okay? And so if we just think about water, learning to care for this one element, this element flows through everything. So if you learn to care for the water in your neighborhood, then that can translate to caring for the water that's around the world that you might think that you've never come into contact with. You might have come into contact with those water molecules. But like pollution from around the world, like you can feel a sense of empathy. You know, by learning to care for the water close by, you can learn to care for all the water that is around us. And so one of the things that I think we can learn is this idea of being an open vessel. Like I think water is completely open. You know, there's no form inherent to this substance. And so by being open, by learning how to be open from water, we can learn how to like open our hearts, open our ears to the cries of suffering around us. We can learn how to be a bodhisattva and be of service to others. Okay? And so if you think about it, a cool thing about water is we have a water-based eye that can see and reflect, you know, inward and outward reality. And our water-based eye sees the lake, which is the water-based eye of the world. The lake of the world can reflect the whole cosmos. And so a water ethic can be an elemental ethic that cares for humans, our water bodies, all of life, which Vernadsky calls animated water. Life is animated water. We can care for the whole planet, water Gaia, as Stephen Harding and Lynn Margulis want to call Earth. We can care for the whole flows in the Milky Way, streaming forth from the great flaring forth or the great flowing forth of cosmic chi, manifesting uniquely in our own bodies. And so Due Ming says that the human has the unique capacity to embody the cosmos in our consciousness and in our conscience, in our hearts, in our minds. We have that ability as humans. We are the universe knowing itself. As Baudelaire says, it is through the human that the immense becomes aware of itself. In our seemingly tiny bodies, we hold the whole universe. We can understand vastness and immensity. And so what I think Thomas Berry was talking about with our great work is learning how to listen and to be open to all of our relations, learning how to be in conversation, to be open and still, listening to the voices of the whole universe, and helping to translate the stories of the universe through our own lives. And James Hillman, he writes that what's needed is personification. Personification is an act of love. Seeing psychic presences in the world, that's an act of love, and it's a way of knowing, especially knowing what's hidden in our hearts. So I think that love is one of the best motivating forces. It can help us to counter forces of domination. It can help us to have this sense of intimate immensities with all of the elements. Okay, so just to close, I'd like to share a little song called Elemental that I wrote with my band Invisible Worlds. And the lyrics are elemental immensity, elemental intimacy, sharing vibrant materiality, sharing breath and cosmic energy, flowing between worlds, linking inner and outer worlds, weaving together with elemental threads. Will we remember our way and find our place amid intimate immensities? Okay, and it goes like this. Elemental immensity, elemental intimacy, sharing vibrant materiality, sharing breath and cosmic energy, sharing vibrant materiality, sharing breath and flowing between worlds, linking inner and outer worlds, weaving together with elemental threads, elemental threads. Will we remember our way and find our place? Will we remember our way and find our place amid intimate immensity? Thank you. Get up for water. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have time?
We have a couple
Okay.
minutes for questions, but I want to start off just by asking you, maybe the obvious question was, how did you arrive? One of the things that comes through very clearly in your presentation is your deep connection with water and your love for water.
Yeah.
And in a certain sense, your embodiment of water. And how did that come about in your life?
Yeah. Well, I have Neptune at the midheaven, Pisces rising.
Okay, enough said.
Yeah. And I've always loved to swim, and water just it turns me on. It's so sexy and delicious, and it's my favorite drink, and and it teaches us how to flow. And like, so learning Tai Chi, like I think that was huge for learning how to embody water, how to embody the flows of the life force that is water. And yeah, we could talk all day about that. Yeah.
Thank you. Other questions or comments for Elizabeth? If not, I will just add another comment, which is that I'm so pleased to be part of a conference in which people sing. And it weds this my two of my biggest interests, which are holding space for these kinds of intellectual discussions, and as an open mic host, which I've done a lot of in my life, and I'd love to see this gradual synthesis, happening. So thank you, Liz. Oh, a question, a comment.
Fabulous. I was, I was struck by it's the comparison between the Indra's net. You have the jewel reflecting the jewel, reflecting the jewel, and Travis's image of the other exciting, the other, and being excited by the excitement.
Yeah.
I mean, and so like as Travis was talking, right? We were all becoming aroused just thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
But with Indra's net, it was a different kind of consciousness. It was more kind of a, I don't know what to call it exactly, but it didn't have that kind of like rush of passion that was mounting to a place of climax. I mean, would you comment on the whether in Indra's net there is actually that the reflection generates intensity? I'm just curious.
I think so. I haven't studied it enough to know, but yeah, it was probably my telling of that image that made it kind of boring and less like passionate. But I think, or maybe I don't know. Yeah. But I think that would be awesome to look into Hoannin Buddhism and see is there a passion there with that telling of the story?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Further research. Sweet.
All right.
Well, thank
Love
you.
for Elizabeth. Thank you so much. Our next guest.